Alright, so you bums want to live forever. Let's go over tanks. We're gonna start we're gonna start from the beginning. First thing we're gonna do is talk about skills. Are you going magic or stamina? Number 2, attributes. Number 3, you're going over your gear and enchantments. Step 4, your Mundus Stone. Step 5, CP points. You want to do everything in that order because you first have to decide what skill points and what spells you're going to use. Are you going magic or stamina? That's going to determine everything. So you start there always, regardless of class. Alright. I realize I'm a sorcerer, this guy, but I'm gonna swap guys here a couple of times, so we'll just bear with me. Any true 100% tank build, that's all you're gonna do is tank. PvE content. We're specifically talking about PvE tanks, pure tanks. You are not a damage dealer. You are a tank, and oh, by the way, you happen to have some damage. That's our focus. Okay, that's the first thing you have to define: is what is your goal? What are you trying to do? If you're trying to be a PvE tank who does damage and is a damage dealing tank who happens to have a taunt bar, that's a totally different setup and a different discussion. What we're going to be focusing on today are pure tanks. You are a hard mode vet trial dungeon tank. That's what we're going for, okay? So, with that focus in mind, front bar and back bar are pretty much always going to be sword and board. At least that's the way I run it. If you're running Magicka, you can run Ice Staff, Resto Staff. That's a good combo, okay? But I'm going to do stamina. That's what I picked, so that's what I'm going over right now. Doesn't matter what gear set, we're not focused on that right now, but you want sword and board front and back. That's just me. Alright? So, the reason I have sword and board front and back is because the number one key is the key you're going to be poking the most. Your ransack. Pierce armor is a good morph too. I picked ransack because I was a little low on resistances, so it helped me out. But your build may be different. You can morph. We're not talking about morphs. We're just talking about basic skills at this point. Morph any way you want, but you have to have puncture or some morph of puncture, okay, for a stand build. Low slash or either morph is fine. And then on the back bar, I put shield assault, or if you're going for another build, you just want a charge move there, okay? It doesn't matter what it is. You need a charge move, a gap closer. Okay, so if you're DK, put your chain pull there, whatever it is. You have to have a gap closer here. You want your taunt there. These are your two most used spells, the number one key, and that's why they're in the same spot, and that's why I run sword and board on front and back, because I'm using the gap closer of shield assault. If you're a DK and you want to run a two-hander and you want to use your chain pull there, that would be perfectly acceptable. It doesn't matter how you accomplish this. You just need a gap closer here and a taunt there. Heroic Slash is a necessary for a tank because you have to have this ultimate as your sword and board. I mean, it's shield wall is like absolute must as a tank because you're going for free blocks. I mean, the basic shield wall is just free blocking, right? So spell wall is my favorite morph because it reflects all projectiles cast at you for 7 seconds. So if you have a lot of ranged targets on you, it's going to reflect those spells back at the enemies. So and do some damage. So there's your damage coming in. Oh, by the way, I do some damage. But my main focus is staying alive. 3 class abilities. Depending on your class, these are going to change. But you always want taunt, low slash, 3 class abilities, and shield wall. Now, the reason I picked these 3 class abilities is because I'm a sorcerer, and Boundless Storm, oh, by the way, does some damage, but this is my spell resistance and physical resistance buff. That's the main reason it's there. It's a buff. Okay, that's my shield buff basically. All right, this keeps me alive when I do critical damage. This happens to do damage, so occasionally I'm gonna crit off that, which is gonna heal me, so it helps keep me alive. And then also, this is for regen. This used to be really great. Basically they really screwed this spell, Bound to Gias. So most of you guys aren't sorcerers, and this doesn't apply to you. But this slot is for regen. So you have a buff, something to complement the buff, and for regen. Those are the three things you want there. Okay. However you accomplish that doesn't matter. This is handy. This is why also one other reason why I run sword and board front and back, because absorb magicka. Here we have a reflective spell. Okay. And then here we have a absorption spell, okay, and it heals you. So when you've got tons of ads casting at you and you're getting beaten on left and right, and your healer is too far away because they're rezzing somebody or whatever, you just press this button and you get 16% of your max health like that. Also, you get 8% more blocking for 8% reduced costs. So when you're going into a blocking phase and you know for a fact that the boss is going to be wailing on you through some sort of mechanic that takes a few swings or something, flip to your back bar, you're going to save that stamina. Okay? I run Bone Surge, or any Bone Shield morph is fine, because 53% of your max health as a shield is amazing, and it's a shared group buff. You get 31%, they get 53%. So that's going to keep your healer and your DPS alive if they synergize that, which is a big deal, especially through boss mechanics. This is just another AoE damage. This is in conjunction for my build. This is part of keeping me alive with Crit Surge. So this will change, but you can put a class ability here. And then this spell, Ring of Preservation, is really, really great. I use it because, I mean, it's reduced damage taken by 8%, stamina recovery by 10%, reduced cost of roll dodge by 20%, and it's for 20 seconds. It is a higher costing spell, but it's a protection spell and reduced cost spell. So it's kind of a 2-for-1. I get some regen, I get reduced costs, and I get reduced damage taken. It's pretty much all in one win. Anything that benefits you can go here. It doesn't matter what it is, but you want to have basically puncture, low slash, shield wall, and absorb or defensive posture. Those are your 4 main spells. You're not really going to be doing a whole bunch of other stuff except casting 6 other buffs. That's pretty much what this is. You want taunt, you're just going to poke them with a stick, swipe their feet, shield bash or shield assault to close the gaps if they get away from you, or if you need to pick up an ad real quick. And something defensive here. If you don't pick absorb magicka, that's fine, but you want something there so that you can regen health. And then also a group buff, a class spell, and a potential group buff is nice here, but anything to benefit you. Doesn't matter. So you get 6 flex spots. Do what you want with them. But this is a basic tank setup. These 4 keys right here. Nothing fancy, okay? Now I have absorption field. That's a class spell. You guys probably aren't going to have that. It doesn't matter what you pick there. We just something to benefit the group. Mine's a heal that also disables ads. Most ads, not boss fight most of the time, but sometimes it'll help. So that's the basic skill setup that I use for tanking. So you have 6 class slots, and then 2 on each front bar, front and back. Okay. Now, next we're going to talk about attributes. As a tank, I went all 64 stamina. I recommend that. Reason I say that is because if you look at my gear, it's all health. Okay. So I have 1 stamina.